I've lived 3 decades, had 3 different careers, lived through a few heartbreaks, rejections, a quarter-life crisis, a nervous breakdown or 2, but also a few small victories here and there. Most of all, I made it till here. And this is all the wisdom that I can share with you to help you do better than I did.
Lately, my monkey mind is turning over.
I wanted to make one of those I wasted my 20s videos, but after some honest soul searching, I could not. I did waste some chances, some days, maybe even months, but that's just half of the picture. Some of the most beautiful times in my life were also in my 20s, and I did my best to learn from both the good and the bad. To me, making the most of everything that comes your way, that's what life's all about. Today I'll be sharing 7 things that I've learned, and I hope that whether you're in your 20s or at any other time in your life, this can help you make the most of what's ahead. When I was 19, I met a boy at university, and after a while we started dating. After 3 years, we started having different friends, different interests, different visions for our lives. We changed, which is completely normal in your early 20s. We should have just accepted it and gone our separate ways, but the fact that we invested 3 years, all the memories, knowing each other's families, felt like too much to give up. And eventually, after 6 years, the breakup was inevitable and even more painful. And this is something called the sunk cost fallacy, the mistake of continuing to invest in something because you're already invested in it, even though it no longer makes sense to invest in it. So imagine you're going to a movie, and after 30 minutes you realize it's a terrible movie. But you already paid for the ticket, so you sit through it. So now your money is gone, but now you also wasted 2 hours of your life and you have really bad mood. We can also apply it to our careers. For example, I studied international relations for 3 years and then humanitarianism for 2 years. I worked in the field for 2 years before I realized I'm not exactly happy with my career choices. That meant I had to waste 7 years of my life and try and risk it all and transition to another field. But I did it. So when making decisions about your future, focus on costs and benefits in the future, not the past that you cannot change. Also, don't compare yourself to others because everybody has their own timeline and there's no such thing as being behind. Don't let your pride and resentment keep you stuck in choices that no longer serve you. I'd much rather be in year 1 of a career that I enjoy than in year 10 of a career that I hate. So it's okay to realize you're not where you want to be and make changes. I've always struggled to balance ambition, drive, and self-care. Pushed myself too hard, or I went the exact opposite and gave up on everything because I was too exhausted and burned out. Also, I find it hard to know when I'm being lazy and when my body actually needs rest. I recently read about this rule applied by professional athletes that kind of helps me think about these things in a more balanced way. It's called the rule of thirds, and it was mentioned by Alexi Papas, who's a Greek-American athlete, and she mentioned in one of her interviews that her coach told her, whenever you're chasing a big dream, you're supposed to feel good a third of the time, okay a third of the time, and crappy a third of the time. If you feel bad more than 1/3 of the time, it means you're pushing too hard. You can hurt your physical and mental health, you can burn out, and it's extremely dangerous because it's not sustainable in the long term. However, if you never feel bad, it means you're not aiming high enough. We all need a challenge, we all need to grow, and this growth will happen outside of the comfort zone. To quote from Jessica Stillman, who summarized it perfectly, to maximize your progress towards difficult goals, you should be well outside of your comfort zone, aka feeling lousy a third of the time. Much more than that is risky, much less is lazy. Life's becoming increasingly unpredictable and complex. Jobs come and go, AI is changing the workplace. All of this can lead to a sense of anxiety and uncertainty. The best way to address this and prepare for the future, in my opinion, is by building some identity capital. This concept is explained well in one of my favorite books, The Defining Decade by Meg Jay. Hey, did you actually read this book? Yeah, I did, just a couple of years ago. Well, then how do you know you will explain it well? I use Shortform, which is a platform that offers great summaries of non-fiction books, including The Defining Decade. I use Shortform to brush up on books that I've read a while ago, to read summaries to know whether a book is worth reading in its entirety, or to learn the main concepts from the books that I wouldn't otherwise have the time to read. Cool! I always thought I would need to be immortal to finish my current to-read list. Yeah, and it's really affordable because you can subscribe for the cost of less than one book per month. By joining through the link in the description box, shortform.com/Daria, you will get a free trial of unlimited access and an additional 20% off your annual subscription. Sounds promising. Well, you can go back to your little thing there. Meg J described identity capital as all of our personal assets and resources. Some of it is education, the skills we possess, the languages we speak, but it's also more personal, how we present ourselves, how we speak, how we approach problems. As she says, it's the currency with which we purchase jobs and relationships. So the best way to prepare for an uncertain future is by investing in yourself. As the famous quote goes, you are the greatest project you'll ever work on, so give yourself the effort and attention that you deserve. Meg J also recommends picking jobs and experiences based not only on how much they pay, but also based on how much identity capital you can develop thanks to them. So meeting new people, exploring new industries, learning new things. Ideally, you wouldn't spend all your 20s in one job, even though it may be comfortable. You want to expose yourself to many new things and experiment. And that does not mean that you have to have it all figured out, but as you figure it out, seek out meaningful opportunities instead of placeholding ones. There's this saying, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And it's true to a certain extent. None of us picked where we started, what baggage we'll have to carry, what traumas we'll have to heal from. Someone very close to my heart did not have an easy childhood. Quite the opposite, I would say. And this person went on to create the most beautiful family you could imagine. Happy, loving, and supportive. As much as you can't pick a family you are born into, one day you'll be able to literally pick your family. So maybe you'll pick a life partner. Maybe you'll choose to have kids. Maybe you'll pick a cat. Maybe a close group of friends that become like family. As Meg J says, especially if you come from a difficult family background, you have the opportunity to create a family environment for yourself that you once thought unobtainable. So think about the life that you want in the next 10-20 years. Being very clear about your goals and very honest with yourself will prevent you from choosing a partner reactively or falling back into family patterns that you want to avoid. I'm not going to say that you need to find your life partner in your 20s because we've got enough pressure as it is, but figuring out your values and your non-negotiables will help you understand your vision for your chosen family. The reason that I mention this is because I think the quality of our closest relationships may be the most important thing in our life. The longest study on happiness conducted by Harvard concluded that the most important factor in happiness is our daily relationships. Also, fixing your career down the line may be easier than changing the people around you. It's still possible, but can be disruptive emotionally, financially, and logistically. So you can actually pick your family. So pick wisely. I feel like it's our chance to do it right, not only for ourselves, but also for future generations. Forget diet culture, that's not the point, but what we consume on a daily basis is critical. Our brains undergo critical development stage in our early 20s, especially the prefrontal cortex. It continues to develop around the age of 25. Prefrontal cortex is responsible for higher order cognitive functions such as decision-making, planning, impulse control, emotional regulation. I mean, kind of important stuff. We can either help that growth or slow it down. Things that are conducive to brain development are obviously getting enough sleep, not drinking alcohol, having a balanced diet and regular exercise, but also it's being in a safe environment that invites exploration and learning new things. Our brain is shaped by the food we eat, the books we read, the people we hang out with, our thoughts, so it really helps to be in an environment that is both safe and stimulating. Also, your body in your 30s is what you ate and drank in your 20s. And it's so much more than just looking good. It's the health of your skin, the health of your organs, your energy, your metabolism, your stamina. I really wish that in my 20s I thought about my health more holistically rather than just being fixated on some weight goal. Another thing to think about is building up muscles. I can now see in my 30s that the body parts that I had developed more in the past are easier to revamp after longer periods of inactivity. And building up fitness where I had none is very hard. I grew up in a normal Polish family, I would say. We struggled with money every now and then, and we had to work very hard for everything we have, including basic financial security. I took out a loan to study in the UK, which I paid off like 2 years ago. I never felt like I had any money to risk it, and all the choices that I made were safe bets. Honestly, I'm not ashamed of it, because I think if you have little, you play it safe, and that's the best thing you can do. But when I was 26, I met my current partner, who interestingly has had very similar circumstances, but he his life view is slightly different. He believes that the younger you are, the more risk you can afford, because maybe you don't have family to sustain, maybe you don't have a mortgage or other things to worry about. But we only started moving towards this mindset in my late 20s, when I paid off my student loan and I had a stable corporate job. Around that time we started investing in our video passions, we bought some equipment, we started doing courses slowly but steadily. So if you have a good business idea or a passion that you want to develop, don't wait forever. My partner says that even if we lost everything today, we can still recover, because younger people have longer time horizons, meaning they have more time to bounce back from potential losses. Do I wish we started investing in our dreams earlier? I personally don't, because like I said, I needed that sense of financial security before thinking about my dreams. And I think it's this hard-earned financial stability that allowed me to invest in my passions down the line. So on one hand, follow that dream, but don't do it at the expense of your personal security or sacrificing your livelihood. At least that would be my take on it. 20s as the defining decade can feel heavy and daunting, and you can feel so lost because you have no idea how your life will unfold. All we can really do is our best. But importantly, I wish I worried a bit less, that I obsessed a bit less, that I was more in the present. I read recently somewhere that you'll never be as young as you are today, and that really stuck with me. So I really hope that the commitment to investing in your future will not prevent you from enjoying where you are, because 20s are such a beautiful time in your life. To quote from a famous thinker, Andy Bernard from The Office, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you actually left them. Your 20s only happen once, so make sure you have fun, explore, make mistakes, laugh about it. That's the best advice that I can give you. I think it's important to try and make the most of the time given to us at every stage of our life. But also, it's human to make mistakes and go down a path that you later on realize does not belong to you. I want to leave you with my favorite quote by Scott Fitzgerald, which goes, "It's never too late, or in my case, too early to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit. Start whenever you want. You can change or stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it." I hope you make the best of it. I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things that you've never felt before. I hope you meet people who have a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. And if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start over again. Love you, stay strong.